Hello, everyone. Welcome and Happy New Year. I know it's towards the end of January, but for me, as long as I haven't seen you or had any contact with you, I think it's still safe to be able to wish you a very wonderful New Year. It's great to see Latanya, Usha, Anu. Is it Sadef? Welcome. If this is the first time you're joining me, I tend to do this webinar in January every year, sometimes in December, and it's just my way of giving back and supporting others as we all look to start the new year and to have an amazing 2026. So, if you have any questions, there should be a chat box. If you're a member of Novi, you should be able to enter comment in the chat box. I have Elena with me who will be helping me with the questions and anything technical. This is the first time we're doing a live from the platform. And so if you do experience any teething issues or have any challenges accessing the technology or doing anything with it, just bear with us. It's the first time we're using this platform to do an external live. So for the members who are joining us, there are others outside the community that will be able to see this presentation as well. So welcome. Let's go. So today is one of those days. Let me just be real talk. Today is one of those days where if I wasn't really clear on my goals, I'll definitely not be showing up tonight to do the webinar because it's been a challenging start to the year. I've had a very busy day, and the thing I want to do now is just curl up, eat my dinner, and watch Architectural Digest, my favorite thing to watch on TV. But because the goals are big, I've managed to convince myself to motivate myself to show up because I also know that you wonderful people will be showing up as well. So thank you for your support with that. So before we get started, can I just quickly ask you, what's stopping you from achieving your goals? You've been alive for God knows how many years now, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And I'm sure every year you set goals for yourself. And you may achieve those goals, you may not, I don't know. But what has been stopping you from achieving your goals? I'd love to hear from you so we can make it an engaging and interactive session. What's stopping you from achieving your goals? So for most people, we tend to have a lot of reasons why we are not able to break through that glass ceiling to get to our next level. And normally, it's down to fear of the unknown, fear of what's involved, fear of what happens once you get to your destination and you achieve the success that you're looking for. For most of us, there is an issue with time. It's very time consuming sometimes when you want to change habits, when you want to do new things and step out of your comfort zone. For others, it's a lack of focus. We're trying to do too many things, and so we don't have the depth needed to be able to make progress on the plans that we have for our careers and for our personal lives. There are too many priorities. I have an exercise I normally do in some of my leadership programs where I ask people to prioritize their goals, and every single time there are way too many priorities in their lives. Everything is a priority, so sometimes you need to find the priorities of priorities if you want to make progress. There's also the issue of self-belief. Some people just don't believe in themselves. I sometimes don't believe in myself. Depending on the scale of the goal and the challenges that I'm about to face, you might find that self-belief is very low, so you need to work on that. And then the is just stepping out of our comfort zone and the paradox of success. Sometimes what gets you successful isn't always what's going to get you to your next level. So you need to change approach, you need to adopt some new habits, and we get stuck in our old ways. It's difficult for us to change. So these are some of the reasons why people tend to stay stuck doing the same thing every single year. And I see it as living the same year. What's the fun in living the same year every single year? every year has to be different. And the way we make it different is based on the goals that we set for ourselves. Okay. So why am I delivering this webinar? I keep using the word webinar. It must be showing my age. I don't think they call them webinars now. I think it's just a presentation. Anyway, why am I delivering this webinar? So this book by Hilary Davy, bless her soul, she's passed on now, was the book that led to me delivering this presentation annually. I was moving house. We had bought a new house. We were very excited. My whole family was very proud of me for what we had achieved. And my little sister, my younger sister, picked up this book, which was on my bookshelf. She opened it, and a list of goals fell out of the book. When she opened this list of goals, she realized that I had achieved every single thing I had listed on that sheet. At the time I wrote that list, it seemed impossible. It didn't seem like anything I would ever have done in my life based on where we were as a family, based on where I was personally. It was just not an achievable goal at the time. But lo and behold, I'd achieved all these things, even the things that seemed really impossible. And she said, Griselda, you're very good at putting your mind to things and achieving it. You're very good at setting these big goals and achieving them. So why don't you teach others? Why don't you teach us all how we can achieve our goals and do more than we ever imagined possible? So that's the genesis of this workshop that I've been running annually, and I do it for free because of the seed my sister planted, and also, as I said, my way of paying back for some of the joys and the privileges that I've had in my life. And I hope that as you also listen and you're able to go on and achieve some of the big goals that you have for yourself, you're also able to pay it forward to others as well. So some people think setting goals is a waste of time, right? Goal setting has now got a backlash because people think it's very materialistic. You're too task oriented. You want too much. But for me, setting goals is really about giving me a sense of purpose, giving you a sense of purpose, helping you track progress so that you can build confidence no matter what endeavor you're applying your skills at. So you could have been very successful in one career, moving on to the next one. Being able to track your goals within this new sector helps you to gain confidence within this new area. It gives you a sense of direction. The world is so busy, social media is so busy. Everybody is telling us what we should be doing, how we should be living, what our bodies need, what our families need, how we should be raising our kids. There's just so much information out there that we tend to lose our direction. And having clarity on your goals just helps you to stay the course, to know your North Star, and to keep facing the right direction. As I said, it also helps you to track progress. I'm a big believer in knowing where you are and how many steps you need to take to get to your next step, your next level. And setting goals, big goals, small goals, enables you to do that. It also allows us to celebrate success. You know, when you get to the top of that mountain, when you've run that marathon, you've reached the finish line, you can take a moment to celebrate based on the effort you put in, based on where you started, and based on the scale of the goal. For me, goal setting also enables me to avoid burnout because I factor in rewards and breaks throughout the process so that I end up being happier. It's not about having one big goal and spending a whole year or two just chasing this goal with no break. That's not what it's about. My process is very holistic, and it's all about enjoying the process and not having the regrets that many people have when they get to their life at the end of their lives, realizing that, oh my God, I haven't done any of the things that I set out to do. Now, my mom passed in her 80s. I've been around dying people, and it's a big regret that a lot of people have when they feel they wasted their youth or they wasted many years in their lives. Having goals also stops you from being too busy, working on other people's agendas and being driven by external validation and expectation. So for me, it's a process that anchors me in my day to day, in my month to month. And so it stops me from comparing myself to others, because I know the lane I'm on, I know the track I'm on, and I can see myself making progress towards that. So I can, tune out the noise, so to speak. And it also gives you the ability to say yes to the right things and no to the wrong things. A lot of women struggle with people pleasing and being able to say no. I had a program yesterday, and one of the ladies on the program said exactly this: I just can't say no. I don't know why, but when people ask me to do things, even when I know it's inconvenient, even when I know it's going to derail me, I still say yes. And sometimes when I push myself to even say no, at the end of it, I just think I feel so bad and I feel so guilty for even having said no. And I think that's a shame. We need to normalize saying no and hearing no, because it's a way that we are set our boundaries, and also it helps us to nourish ourselves and to avoid burnout. And for me, goals help me to do that. Today, I had a speaking engagement. A friend asked me to speak at an event. She had an emergency. She couldn't make it. So she said, "Oh, can you step in for me?" Normally, I'll drop everything and I'll be there doing what I'm doing. But today I had to put myself first and say, actually, I'm not able to do that because I have to do X, Y, and Z. And she said, yes, that's fine. I totally understand. And we moved on. I would have said yes if I wasn't so clear on where I was going, what I'm doing, and how I want to spend my day and my month and my year. Okay. Right. So just a little bit about myself. I think most people on the call should know me by now. If you don't, I'm Griselda Togobo. I run Novi, the Novi Awards, and together with Usha Kong, we run Novi Futures. We founded Novi Futures, and she runs it. So really, my mission in life is to help people break barriers and to reach their full potential. And I do this through many lenses, many umbrellas. So there's the women's community at We Are Novi. I have an academy where I deliver leadership programs, women's leadership programs, inclusive leadership programs to corporate and for women working in male dominated sectors. I do keynote speaking. I've written a few books, hope to write a few more. And when I'm not doing all that, I love to spend time with my family in Yorkshire, up in the north of England. And I love to go out for long walks. I'm recently started climbing mountains. I'm really loving and enjoying that. And along the line of big goals and always challenging myself, I'm hoping to run a 250-mile kilometer race this year. So that's what I do. This picture is just from a talk I did for Goldman Sachs and Oxford Said. I just love the picture because the men just look like they're just staring, and I'm doing my thing. And obviously, I've been featured in a few magazines and papers over the years and done some media commentary as well. I tend to speak very fast, and I have a gorgeous accent from Ghana. So if I'm going too fast, just let me know and I will try to slow down. I think my camera is frozen, but anyway, you shouldn't be looking at the camera. You can just look at the slide. Fabulous. Uh, yeah, so I just pulled together a few things to show some of the work I've done in the past. This is a campaign I did for Shell, a global campaign. There's a lot I can say about this campaign, but just know that I did it, I enjoyed it, it helped to drive some change within the sector. And yes, along the lines of big, crazy goals, I jumped off a plane a few years ago. Every year, I try and set myself a big goal professionally and personally. I have categories of goals that I set. And the one category that brings me the most joy is going off and doing crazy things, typically without my family. Just giving myself a week or two where I'm just being me and having fun and embracing the strength I still have in my body, my arms, my legs, and the ability to be out there doing fun stuff. This workshop presentation is based on the Goal Achiever Planner. So I have not been tested, but my son believes that I may have ADHD because I'm very hyper, and he thinks I may even be autistic. I don't think so. But I have over the years observed that I really struggle to focus, and I have too many conflicting priorities because I get excited about doing things. And so I created this planner, which helps me to plan my day. Um, what's different about this particular planner is that it starts from 5 a.m. when my day starts and ends at 2 a.m. I don't stay up late till 2 a.m. But because my family works on a shift pattern, I just find it helpful to be able to plan my day beyond 5. Most planners and diaries end at 5. And it's a manual planner because my phone electronic calendar is just too busy and I get distracted when I go online. Something else pops up which is interesting and I watch it and I listen, and that's not good. So I created this to give me the ability to switch off, be offline, and to do work that is meaningful and meant to drive my progress. We have it available on the Novi shop. If you're interested in getting one, let me know and we'll get you one as well. And just these are just some of the companies I've worked with over the last 15 years. Right. So for the next 50 minutes, 40 minutes, I'm going to take you through very quickly a 7-step process. Um, you can ask questions and I'll stop and take your questions. The 7-step process is very simple in my head, but I can imagine that for 7 steps, it seems quite long, but it's not. So bear with me. So when you set goals, I always start off with step 1, which is examining your goals. I cannot tell you the number of times I coach people when you ask them, so how did the year go? And other than telling you I achieved my goal or I didn't achieve my goal, they really have no meaningful analysis of the year. They haven't sat down to look at their calendar from month 1 to month 12. They just say it was a good year, it was a bad year, based on whatever happened in the final month of the year. So the first step starts with examining your goals, examining your life, examining your work, so you can find the patterns and bring some self-awareness to the things that you've done in the past to then be able to create meaningful goals for the next year. The second step is to set audacious and purposeful goals. It's not just going after things because everybody else is doing it. It's being able to set goals that are meaningful and purposeful and values driven for you, because ultimately that's what makes you happy. And the third step is, rather than thinking annually, I know I run this annually, but to shift your focus and to think long term. We have 10 decades of life if you're lucky, 8 decades of life if you're lucky. So you immediately know that you have 7, 8 decades, and every decade you should be able to plan that and map that out, knowing that all the things you're mapping out may be achievable. And the fourth step is around preparing for obstacles. We can be optimistic, we can be ambitious, but life happens, things happen, and you just have to adapt your plan and be flexible enough to still make progress without really feeling that you were losing ground or failing, so to speak. And the fifth step is around planning and strategizing. Again, this is the one place where I find people don't. We think we're planning, but we're not planning really. We're just making a list of things we want to do, and then we just go and try and do them. So it takes a bit more effort and a bit more intentionality to have a good plan. And then the sixth step is how to execute with confidence. When you have a good plan and you know what you're doing, you can then work that plan and stay focused on that plan. And then the final step is about the celebration and then back to reflecting, to step 1, where your reflections and your examinations can really influence the final step, the first step in the process. So it's 7 steps, very simple, and I'll go through each one of them in as much detail as I can. Um, You feel free to make notes. I always encourage people to make notes. I will not be sharing the slides because I use these slides every year. So make notes, and if you want, you can get a copy of the planner and work through them as well. But the 7 steps are quite easy for you to remember. So a life unexamined for me is not worth living. So many people tell me I'm so busy, and I used to say this myself. I'm so busy, I don't have 15 minutes to meditate. I don't have an hour to walk, to go out for a walk. I'm just so busy. You're so busy doing what? Busy doing what? One of the moments where I had a realization that saying I was busy is just an excuse for time wasting was when a friend, one of my very good friends, she is a goal achiever to the extreme. She's very successful in every aspect of her life, professionally, financially. She's a mom of three, and she's pretty much retired. And I was doing what we normally do. I was moaning about not having time at all to exercise because I was just too busy. And she said, well, I know you're on Instagram. I see you on Instagram. The 5 minutes you go on Instagram to check what people are doing, you could use that 5 minutes to do press ups. You could do push ups. You could exercise. You could skip in 5 minutes. And when she told me that, it was just like a light bulb went off in my head. And I realized that, wow, imagine all the 5 minutes I waste in my day waiting to pick up the kids and just sitting there doom scrolling. I'm lying in bed doom scrolling. Just wasting time doing meaningless things and not even realizing that I was just wasting productive time that I could be using to do meaningful things intentionally. If I want to rest, I need to rest. Be on my phone scrolling the internet is not rest. Your brain is still engaged and is still active. And so that is not meaningful rest. And so all these things just brought the realization that, wow, I waste so much of my day. And the way um, you go about examining your day and your goals is really to look back at the things you've achieved and the things you're really proud of, and to see what contributed to you achieving these goals, and then to try and replicate those successes in all other areas of your life. So look back at what you're so proud of achieving, and see how you can up that, how you can improve that. And the reason why this is so important that we look at the things we're proud of, the things we've achieved, the things we're grateful for, is because the human brain is wired to do that. We have to train our brains to be positive, to be proactive, to be solution focused and opportunity focused. And the way you do that is to really be focused on the things going well and to have gratitude at the forefront of everything that you do. And then as you're doing that, you can also examine some of the biggest challenges that you had. So what went wrong and why did it go wrong? Why was it so painful? Who were the people who were there for me in that moment when I was going through this painful thing? And what did I discover about myself? Did I behave well? Did I eat well when I was going through that? Or did I just abuse food? Did I abuse alcohol? Did I do things that I would normally not do because I was going through this challenging process? And once you're aware of these behaviors, and over the years, I have been paying attention, I know my triggers very clearly. Once you know that about yourself, then when you're creating a plan for this year, 2026, 2027, you make sure that you do not unconsciously activate your triggers, okay? That you're very aware of them and you want to have great relationships. So you know what triggers quarrels, discord in your relationship. So you look out for them. So that's the first step. Examine everything. If you're someone who feels you don't have time, audit your day, track your day. So my goal achiever planner is in hourly slots. And anytime I feel a bit overrun, bent out, overwhelmed, I go back to it and I start to allocate every task to the hour. And once I've done that and the task don't fit within my day or my week, I know that I have to let some things go, some things need to change, and I go about doing that. Okay. So that's the first step. Examine, audit, reflect, make sure you're aware of what you're doing right and you're aware of what you're doing wrong and you're aware of where you can improve and the behaviors that are driving your successes and your challenges. The second step is about setting audacious, purposeful goals, and I call them the big, hairy, scary goals. Um, we play life safe. Every year we set the same goals and we just tweak it just a little. People say, I want to make more money. I want to be fit. I want to be healthier. It's just not clear. What does that mean? What does fit mean for you? What would you pushing yourself extremely out of your comfort zone make your body? What would you have to become to be able to achieve this big goal? So set some purposeful, audacious goals and set the goals in different categories. Don't just have one goal. I want to have a successful year financially, professionally, and just leave it at that. Because even if you didn't hit your financial goals and you had really great personal goals, you would hit them. Relationship goals, you will hit them. And then you find that they really just feed off each other. I know that my core goal, the goal that makes everything really comfortable, less stressful, more enjoyable for me, is being healthy. Okay. And for me, health is not a number on the scale. It's not a dress size. It's a mindset. It's strength. It's feeling strong mentally and physically. It's knowing that I can walk and run and lift and just be, my best physically. I can match my kids. My kids are very sporty. And knowing that I can match them. When I feel that way, everything else feels a lot easier. Because I just have more energy, I have more clarity, I just have more resilience when the challenges come my way. So I encourage you to set family goals. What do you want to do with your family? Health goals. What do you want to be health wise? Spiritual goals. If you're spiritually inclined, how do you want to practice your spirituality? How do you want that to show up in your day to day? Your personal growth. What do you want to be doing differently? And when it comes to relationships, which are different from family, those relationships that you have outside of family, friends, and foe, what do you want that to look like? Finances, what goals do you want to have? And then the professional, which we tend to focus on quite a lot. But I find that anytime I meet a woman who is struggling professionally, there is always something happening in their environment that is causing that struggle. It's never just internal. It's external that tends to be internalized. So if you try and get your environment right, then you're more likely to be successful. And then of course there's the community and charity. I like to do good and goody two shoes. I just like to be a good person. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm going to heaven. So I try and do something community charity focused. And that's me personally. So bring some purpose into the things you're doing so that you can feel that you're making a meaningful change and driving a positive impact wherever you go. And being purposeful also means that you look beyond the year. We overestimate what we can achieve in 12 months and underestimate what we can achieve in 10 years. If you live your year or your life with a one annual focus, you're always going to find yourself falling short because a year is a very short time. You have January, then you have spring, then the summer, and then you come back last quarter. It's not enough time. So some of the big goals that you have should span 2, 3, 5, even 10 years. Then the annual event, every 12 months is a marker towards that goal. It's not that I got it, I didn't get it, so I'm ending it. I'm not achieving my goal. So I've given up. And then you beat up on yourself and you're down on yourself because you think you're not a person that achieves goals. A year is a very, very short time. There's nothing meaningful, significant I've done that has happened in simply a year. It always starts earlier, you're working towards it, and maybe in 1 year it all comes together and boom, people see you do this thing, but you've been working at it quietly, consistently, steadily, behind closed doors for many, many months and years. So my challenge to you is take this annual lens off. Yeah, we'll meet every year and we'll set our intentions and have, some idea of what we want the year to look like. I particularly like to mark my year with something fun, because the other things will happen as a matter of course once I'm having fun and I'm healthy. And look at the next 5 years. Where do you want to be? What do you want to be doing? Who do you want to be? What kind of people would you like to surround yourself with? If you had the opportunity to design a perfect life for yourself, a perfect year for yourself, not that it's perfect because it's pretty roses and bows and all that. It's pretty big. It's perfect because it's intentional. And what would you be doing? So I encourage you to take some time and to make a list of your perfect day, when you want to wake up, where you want to be living, what work you want to be doing, what company, industry you want to be working with. Your kids, if you have them, where do you want them to be? What kind of kids do you want to have? You wouldn't believe this, but I prayed for a left-handed child. I really had this focus on having a left-handed son. I know it was because of Obama. I watched Obama give his speech. He was left-handed, and I said, I wanted Obama." And lo and behold, I give birth to this boy, and he's left-handed. And I always tell him, and his handwriting is terrible, so I don't know if it's a good thing or not. But I always tell him, "I prayed for you to be left-handed, so don't worry." Um, and second child as well, I prayed and I thought I wanted to have a family that looked like what I have, and it happened. I'm not saying that it's all roses. This son I'm telling you about has broken both legs. So um it's not perfect, but I'm just telling you that just spending some time and bringing some positivity, some vision, some intentionality to the things you do can really help you make some really great choices in achieving them. The third step, think long term and set a vision for your life in all areas. In all areas, don't leave any out. And once you have your list of goals, we don't have enough time, but I would ask you to try and plot your goals within the annual 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years timeline. And you will find that a lot of the goals you've set will just be between 1 or 2 years. So this is my challenge to you, to try and have some goals that fit within the 5 to 10 year mark. Just to give yourself time and ease the pressure, and also to allow you to set some really bold, life changing, life enhancing goals. And following on from that, you can also go on to describe specifically what these goals will look like for you. Try and get attach some emotions to why you want this. I wanted, a son that was left-handed, Obama, because I wanted an Obama. um, I wanted a daughter who was kick-ass, and I've got her as well. So, and I wanted to run my own business. I wanted to be to have a company that was really all about being intentional and purposeful and having a positive impact. I've been able to do that for 15 years. I'm able to drive my kids to school every day because it makes me feel good. And I pick them up and I make dinner and they think I'm a housewife, right? My kids think I don't work. They don't realize that I do a day and a half job just to be able to pick them up and drop them off at school. But it all came down from this process and being very intentional about how I wanted my day to start and end, and the feeling I wanted to have as I was going through these things, my day. So spend some time describing that in as much detail as you can. Um, and obviously, I talked about having a main goal that really is like a domino, has a domino effect on everything. For me, it's my health. My health makes everything else possible. When I feel good mentally, physically, everything feels easy. People tell me I'm charming, I'm interesting because I feel good. I have taken the time to exercise, to meditate, to eat well, to drink water, sleep, all those things. Immediately, any of those things fall off the rack. And well, when I meet people, they do not say anything, and I know what that means. So just be very clear on what makes you a wonderful, brilliant person. What makes you attract people and opportunities into your life, and set your goals around those. Let that be the main thing that anchors you when you're setting goals. Step 4 is to prepare for Murphy's law, right? I always tell people that there is no perfect plan. Right? Man, you can plan, but then life happens. And Murphy's law is really about that. Anything that can go wrong really will go wrong. So this January, I had all these brilliant plans of all the things I wanted to do in January. I was going to take it slow. I was going to be exercising and just easing into my planning. And then life happened. My son broke a leg. A tree literally fell on my car on the way to school, and I had to rejig my plan and make everything work. And I was only able to do it because, first of all, I feel fit physically and mentally, and I had planned my life so that there was enough slack and space within it so that when things happen and things go wrong, I don't feel so overwhelmed that I think, oh my God, my world is going to crash around me. Um, and that is massive growth from the person I used to be, where anything like that would have thrown me into a downward spiral. Woe is me, why me, why me? I would have been doing that for days. And I'll be telling anybody who would listen about what's happened to me. Poor me, poor me, poor me. I don't do that anymore. I just use them as learning opportunities. I make my plans and I know that something is going to happen for sure. I'm not being negative or pessimistic. It's just life. Life is a series of bad things happening and you learning to deal with them and cope with them as best as you can. It's never perfect and it will never be perfect. I mean, this is how it's been for years, donkey years. You just live between solving problems, and you need to get good at planning to solve problems and moving on from them as quickly as you can. So make allowance for things going wrong by putting enough slack and space and intentionality into whatever plans that you have. Okay, and also be aware of your own behavior when these things happen. Like I said, I always used to go into this spiral, woe is me, woe is me, oh my God, and I'll just be enjoying the pity party for as long as I could. Now I don't do that because there's no point in doing that. It doesn't solve anything. It drains your energy. And I need to move on and plan and see what else can be done. Okay. So if you want to do something, you find a way. If you don't, you will find an excuse. And many of us know people who are full of excuses for everything they are not able to do or can't do or will not do. And they are all very, very good, valid excuses, but they are still excuses. Okay. Um, and the thing that will keep you on track also is the routines and the habits that you build. I know that the internet has turned routines into a whole thing, and people wake up at and do some strange things every 5 minutes until they leave the house. That's not what I'm talking about. Routine really is about the thing that gets you into that frame of mind where you're able to perform or do your best. So I don't go to the gym anymore because every time I had to go to the gym, I just could not get myself into a routine to get to the gym. So it just didn't happen. And because it just didn't happen, I was always struggling to keep myself fit and healthy. And so once I was able to change my environment and apply routine to my workout, I work out at the foot of my bed. I can't escape it. I have my weights, my bike at the foot of my bed, and I work out and then take a shower, and it works for me. Okay, since I started doing that, I wake up, drink my coffee, do my exercise, take a shower. It happens. It's part of the routine. I don't have to think about it. I just do it. And I do it nearly every day. Unless when my body tells me, right, you need a break, then I take a break. But nearly every day it happens. And so you have to think about the things that you can put in your environments. You can design your environments that will help you to have these kind of routines in your life, because the routines will help you develop the right habits, which will then help you to achieve the big goals that you want to achieve. So for example, if you want to write, I've written 3 books, I think 3 or 4 books, and every time I've written the book, I had to get into a writer's mindset. So I had the habit of joining a writing club every morning. I'll wake up at 8, join the writers club, write a set number of words, and then leave. It wasn't about writing the book, it was about the habit of showing up and writing. Whether it was crap, it was good, did not matter. It's about the habit. And so you find people focusing too much on the end result. You want to get a book done, a report done, a new job, and you're just going from 0 to 100. No, you have to think about, what do I need to do every day to get this book written? It's writing. The editing is a completely different thing. What do I need to do every day if I have a business to get more sales? It is the outreach, the business development, the emails, the follow-ups, and you have to have it as part of your routine. So when it comes to work, one of the routines I have is every day I send out 3 emails to new people, old contact, old business contact, just to reconnect. When I do that regularly, I always have business coming in. When I fail to do that, I have a farming period, and I know exactly why that's happened, because I got out of my routine. So, in as much as you're setting the goals, it's not just about the big goals and the doing and the achievement. It's about the habits, the routines, and how you're able to put yourself psychologically in that mindset to be able to do these things. And and that's why for me it's important that you design a day. In the Goal Achiever Planner, I have my top 3 priorities, because I stopped doing a to-do list. If anything at all, I'd rather have a not to-do list because I do too much. But I have my top 3 goals and priorities. If I do those top 3 priorities, I'm fine. It doesn't matter if I didn't check my email for 7 days, or I didn't go on social media during the time that I was doing it. It simply doesn't matter, because social media is not a priority for me. For some people it is a priority, but for me social media isn't a priority. My priority one day might be making sure I have a good delivery day for a client, making sure that my team feels supported, and then making sure that I'm able to find an hour or two to do all the things that I want to do in terms of what I need to do for the future. So that's my priority. Social media factors in not at all. And so I'm not on it anymore. I've actually not been on social media a lot, because I measured, examined, and realized it wasn't really contributing to a lot of the things that I wanted to do. So I stopped doing it. And that's the beauty of the tracking and examining things as well. It makes it possible for you to move on. And then within the Goal Achiever Planner as well, I have a section for your morning routine, your afternoon routine, and your evening routine. And I have these 3 sections because I really believe that when it comes to evenings, you really need a good a way of ending clocking out of your day so your body can ease into the night and you can have a good night's sleep. You can have a proper night's sleep. My husband can sleep, work on 4 hours of sleep a night. I need 8 hours of sleep just to not be grumpy as a baseline. And so I don't go to bed with him. I go to bed. I have my alarm that goes off at 10:30, and then I start my wind down process. If it's a shower, if it's chamomile tea, if it's stretching, if it's just lying with my kids and just being ridiculous reading, I will do that. And then I will not feel guilty that I'm supposed to be doing something else that I'm not doing. I enjoy the moment because that's my routine for the evening. And some people will do the opposite. Whatever works for you. This is not about telling anyone that you have to live your life this way. Do what works for you, but pay attention to what is not working so you can change it. And then I also track how I fuel my body. There was a time where I did the keto diet and I realized that, yeah, I'm addicted to sugar. And so I went off weaning myself from it. And then last but not the least, I would track my mood on the day, whether I was feeling great or not. And then I'll focus on three positives for the day. Because there are so many negatives sometimes that if you don't pay attention or are intentional about the positive things, you might just forget that life is pretty good. For those of us in England, the US, Europe, Africa, it's pretty good. There are people in countries where there are wars literally on their doorstep. And so we really don't have a lot to complain about. I mean, we can complain if we want, but what's the point? That people have it worse, and I choose to focus on what is going well so that I can create more of that. And in as much as you create the routine, it's always nice to be rewarded for all the hard work you're putting in. So make sure you build in some reward. And in my planner, I have something around rewarding myself once I've achieved my goals. And then you work in the cues as well that get you to activate certain routines and behaviors. It can be time. When it's a certain time, I have the alarm on my phone that goes off that tells me it's time to go to bed. But you can do other things. You don't even, you don't have to do it like I'm doing. There was a point where I had an alarm on my phone to tell me to go and take a wee because I would be sitting down and I would just be there and my bladder would be dying and I would not get up. And so I had my alarm go off and say, Griselda, time to go and take a wee. I know it sounds a bit extra, but it worked for me and I trained my bladder. And then, of course, all these things are wonderful, but you have to have boundaries around your time, around your mental health. You should be able to say no, and you should be able to say it often without feeling guilty. People will understand. Um, if you don't say no, people will just get you to spend your time doing things for their own lives and not for your life. So you need to make sure you're spending enough time planning and strategizing for your own life. And the fifth step is around planning. I talked about planning again. I used to think that writing something on a piece of paper is enough. It's not. You need to really think through the steps involved in doing that, the contingencies, as I've said, who you need to help you to do that, coaches, communities. You really need to think through what you're doing so you can have a solid plan underpinning it. Because once you have the plan, then the execution is a lot easier. This is one thing that I used to struggle with for a long time. I think I still struggle sometimes with the level of detail that is needed to be able to do things. But my team is now so aware that sometimes when I'm just rushing, they say, whoa, 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 Griselda, we need to plan this properly. We need to slow down. We need to make sure we're giving ourselves enough time to do this and to do this well. And that's come from us planning, uh, you know, giving feedback to each other and being aware of the things we're doing well and the things we could do better. And in the planner, there's a page that just helps you to have an overview of the year so you can put some plans in place around what you might be able to do and when you would like to do it. And the step 6 is around execution, how to execute with confidence. So it's all about consistency. Consistency is not that you do all the time at a speed and frequency that's uncomfortable and unsustainable. Consistency is all about having a pace that you can keep. When I have, I when I started climbing mountains and doing very long hikes, I just used to think about getting to the top. All I thought about was I just want to get to the top. I don't really care how I get there. I just want to get to the top. But when you climb really tall mountains and you're gone for days, it's all about consistency and pace. They make you slow down. Actually, on Kilimanjaro, they tell you to say poli poli, slowly, slowly, because the mountain does not, it needs to be respected, and it's about life as well. Life needs to be respected. You cannot just rush and hope that, just because you're in a hurry, everybody else has to be in a hurry, and things have to happen in your own timeline. Things happen when they happen, but you need to make sure you're showing up in the right way, in the right place, so that opportunity can find you. The second thing is also about community. It's very lonely trying to achieve anything significant. I've talked about moving away from annual planning to, 5 to 10 years plans. When you are looking at that kind of timeline, it's very lonely because people come and go on the journey. You start with someone in January, by December, they might not be on your team, or they might not even be clients, they might not even be friends. You lose people as a natural way and of life. People just move on, and so you have to always be cultivating a community and support network around you that can be there, cheering you on, keeping you motivated, and also helping you bounce back when Murphy comes. Because things will go wrong, and it's the community bit that holds you accountable and keeps you grounded and helps you to stay focused. It's very, very, very difficult trying to achieve things on your own. So if you're not part of a community, if you're trying to do everything on your own because people have behaved a certain way in the past and it just doesn't work for you, I'll really encourage you that this year you really think about how you can nurture some really good, kind, positive minded people around you. And of course, the clarity comes from the planning and the intentionality and the examining. Once you have the clarity and you're starting from a good place, knowing why you're doing things, it's very difficult to then stop halfway because you just don't feel like doing it anymore. That clarity, your why, gives you that motivation to keep going. I've talked about sleep. Sleep is so important because it helps your executive brain, the prefrontal cortex, just have enough rest to be able to act appropriately, for you to be able to make sound decisions. It also helps decrease procrastination. So when you're not sleeping well, everything feels difficult and you'll be putting it off and off and off. So make sleep a priority as well. And step 7, obviously, is to celebrate, because there's no failure, there are only lessons. They are only lessons. Some of the lessons are painful, but they are still lessons. And if we can just focus on what's going right, what we've learned from it, and the people who stood by us through all of that, you realize that no experience is ever wasted. And I have started a challenge in Novi. We are Novi community, where we're having a best life ever challenge. And it's really around being toxically, annoyingly positive. Okay. That I know that positivity is now considered toxic. Not for me. I have to be positive. Otherwise, I'll go mental. I can't survive. Life is hard. So I have to make myself only focus on the things that are going well. So if you are here and you want to join the challenge, if you're within the community, I'll be giving you daily prompts from the month of February onwards. If you're not part of the community, you still want to join, you can do it on your own, and you can hashtag us, tag us, share it with us, and we'll cheer you on as well. So you know, the reason why a lot of people don't go for big goals is because they're so scared of failing. And because they're so scared of failing, they always set safe goals. Let's fail, let's learn from it, let's embrace it, let's move on. I was watching a video this morning where Venus Williams said she had been fired from an internship. I mean, who fires Venus Williams? Who fires her? And what's she doing? Doing an internship anyway. But she got fired. She had to embrace it, she had to learn from it, and she was even willing to share that publicly. I think a lot of us will not even want to do that. And so that's the final step, the celebration. And of course, all the things I've talked about, for some of us who are visual, you can take the time to create a vision board out of the things we've talked about. So I had a vision board. I told you about the book that fell off, the goals that fell off my book. My sister also knows when she comes to my house, I have a vision board. I live in the house that was in my vision board for a long time. I drove a car that was on my vision board for a long time. My kids go to school that was on my vision board for a long time. Um, yeah, everything that is visible to you that you see every day subconsciously gets soaked in your brain and you will become that thing, that person. I actually had an image. There was a lady, there's a magazine I used to read, Psychologist or Read, I can't remember, one of them. There was a lady featured before I left my job. There was a lady featured in a house with her son, um by a fridge, and she was talking about her life, and it was just something I had on my kitchen fridge for a long time because I just loved the idea of this woman getting interviewed and talking about her life and her kids, and I just loved the whole look of it. Lo and behold, I was featured in Psychologist with my son. They sent a photographer to my house to take a picture of me and my son, and I got the same feature that I had on my fridge of this random woman and her son. I had the same thing happen. So it works. I don't know how it works, but it works. So take the time to have a bit of fun and create a vision board out of all these things we've talked about. So that's me done. I know I've been talking a lot, but my final words to you is, if you aim at nothing, then that is what you hit. So have a good aim. Make sure it's a big one, and make sure you examine where you are. You reflect. You set some big, scary goals. You think long term. You prepare for Murphy's Law. Things will go wrong. You plan around the eventualities of life, and then you execute knowing that you've done all that. And of course, when it's time to celebrate, some of us will love to be involved and to share your successes with you. So that is me done. This is just me saying thank you for being part of the community. Thank you for your support. I hope you have a wonderful 2026. It can only get better from here. Spend some time planning, and let's make it our best year ever. So I don't know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to take them. I'm not sure if the stream platform allows you to pose the questions directly, but feel free to message me on. I'm in the Novi community. We are Novi. I'm on LinkedIn. Just reach out and let me know if you found this useful. And thank you all for staying to the very end.